Hello, Kenny Jacobs from Bloomington, Illinois. I'm a PGA teaching professional, and my videos talk both about how to improve your golf game, as well as being a Christian and living in the last days. I want to talk to you today about 4 turns in the golf swing. There's actually 4 turns that happen on the backswing. One, obviously your shoulders are going to turn, hopefully around 90 degrees. But when that happens, your hips should rotate roughly about 45 degrees. So 90 degrees of shoulder turn should produce about 45 degrees of hip turn, which will also produce about 20 degrees of turn with your knees. But there's a 4th turn that kind of helps free your body up and make some of that possible. And that is your head. Your head should rotate about 10 degrees as you go back. You don't want your head moving up and down a lot. It shouldn't be moving a lot, but it ought to rotate about 10 degrees, freeing up your shoulders to turn about 90 degrees. A couple of problems are people have been told for so long to keep their head still that they don't let it rotate with their turn, so they end up leaning into their left side, reverse pivoting, or swaying. And you want to allow your head to rotate about 10 degrees so that you can turn your shoulders about 90 degrees. Holding the lower body steady, the turn of your shoulders will cause the other turns as long as you free up your neck and your head and let that go with your shoulder turn a little bit. So certainly you want to keep your head pretty still during the golf swing, but it does need to rotate about 10 degrees on your backswing. Kind of makes you feel like your left eye is kind of turning behind the golf ball. That will get you in position to really swing down with some acceleration and power and get all of your momentum moving through the golf ball to the target so you have a full follow through and a full finish and full turn. So 4 turns on the backswing. Shoulders 90 degrees, hips 45, knees 20. But to make all that possible, allow your head to rotate about 10 degrees on the backswing away from the target. That'll really free up your backswing and store up more effortless power. Now, 2014 also promises to be a very cool prophetic year. So many events are happening now that I can't even keep up with them. But I want to make you aware of something that's going to happen in 2014 and 2015. And that's called 4 blood moons. A blood moon is a lunar eclipse. And when you get 4 of them in a row, it's a tetrad. And that's only happened 3 times in the past, at least in the last 500 years or so. So here's what happened in the past when there were 4 blood moons. In 1493 and 94, the Jews were expired or kicked out of Spain. And that was also, by the way, right after Christopher Columbus sailed in 1492. But then, in 1949 and 1950, there were also 4 blood moons. And that's the year that, right after Israel became a nation, 1948. And then again, 1967 and 1968, there were 4 blood moons. And of course, 1967 is when Israel won the 6-Day War and took control of Jerusalem again. Well, the interesting thing is that's going to happen again in 2014 and 2015. And they're actually going to happen. The blood moons are actually going to happen on Jewish feast days. On April 15th, 2014, on the Feast of Passover, will be one of the blood moons. And then on October 8th, the Feast of Tabernacles occurs, and that will be another blood moon. And then on April 4th of 2015, there will be a 3rd blood moon. And again, that's also on the Feast of Passover. And then again, on September 28th, 2015, there'll be a 4th blood moon. And that is also the Feast of Tabernacles. And in the middle of that, there's also going to be a solar eclipse. And what's very, very interesting about that is the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 30 says, "And I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun shall be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. And it shall come to pass that everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." That is also, that same verse is also quoted in Acts, the second chapter of Acts, talking about the pouring out of the Holy Spirit at the end times, and that there would be signs in the moon and the blood moons. And interestingly enough, the last time that happened was in 1967 when Israel took control of Jerusalem. It's going to happen again in 2014. I would like to recommend to you a great book called The Four Blood Moons by John Hagee. It explains this in great detail. But again, just another sign we are living in the last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ while there's still time. We're running out. All the signs are here. Thank you.